Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition.
Everything I'm announcing today is about centering victims in our criminal justice system.
Why does he talk so slowly? Well, Nick Candy, who is, I believe, Britain's second or third richest man, I think. Anyway, he tells the Daily Telegraph that he wouldn't give David Lammy a job as a janitor.
Conflict is at our door. Russia has brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared for the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured.
Wow, Putin vows revenge after Ukraine strikes a tanker in the Mediterranean, so what could go wrong there?
Of course, we're looking at further measures on tax and spending to make sure that the public finances always add up.
Look, I wish I was making this up, but I'm not. Apparently, Rachel Reeves is now not ruling out more tax rises in 2026. I can't rule out tax rise in 2026. The front of the eye weekend. Well, stay tuned to find out what tax rises they're going to be. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Oh, in fact, right now, she ruined Christmas for shops after that £30 billion tax raid. We are going to get more. And hundreds of thousands of Epstein files have been released. Can I just say something about this? Just release them all. I'm a bit sick of it now. Like this, like having to stand here every other night and go, more Epstein files have been released, more Epstein files have been released. Just do it. Anyway, President Trump signed a bill from Congress demanding the release of all the Epstein files, there you go, on the 20th of November, setting a 30-day countdown for US Justice Department to publish them. Well, just get on with it. Come on. Right, I will also say that there is something big on the front of the Daily Telegraph. We're obviously going to have to be very careful about how we cover this, but it is big news. David Walliams quotes harassed female staff. This is the author who's been dropped by HarperCollins over claims of inappropriate conduct. I will say David Williams denies everything. He says that he didn't know there was an investigation into him and he hasn't even been given a chance to respond to it. However, it's a big story and we will try to find a way of discussing it without finding ourselves in court. But joining us this evening are journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas and journalist Benjamin Butterworth. But first, let's get those news headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Patrick, thank you very much and good evening. The top stories. Hundreds of thousands of Epstein files have been released by the US Justice Department. Donald Trump signed a bill from Congress demanding the release of all of the Epstein files on the 20th of November, setting a 30-day countdown for the US Justice Department to publish them. Photos of Bill Clinton are among the latest documents to be released. The former US president can be seen in a pool with Ghislaine Maxwell in one photo and in a hot tub with an unidentifiable woman in another. A picture in the Epstein files also shows Ghislaine Maxwell outside number 10 Downing Street. There's no further context given around the image. Epstein was found dead in his cell at a federal jail in New York in 2019 while he awaited trial on sex trafficking charges. His death was ruled a suicide. Being named or pictured in the files is not an indication of wrongdoing. David Walliams strongly denies allegations of inappropriate behaviour and was not informed about or party to an investigation by HarperCollins, his spokesperson says. He was dropped by his publisher, HarperCollins. The decision follows the Daily Telegraph investigation into claims the children's author had harassed junior women during his time working with the company. According to the Telegraph, a female employee who raised concerns about Walliams' alleged conduct later left HarperCollins after reaching a settlement which included a 5-figure payment. The publisher reportedly launched an internal inquiry in 2023 after a complaint was made, interviewing multiple staff members who had professional contact with the author. A spokesman for HarperCollins told The Telegraph, after careful consideration and under the leadership of its new CEO, HarperCollins UK has decided not to publish any new titles by David Walliams. The author is aware of the decision. As I say, Mr. Walliams has now strongly denied all of the allegations made against him. Bridget Phillipson has been accused of blocking the publication of trans guidance that would force business and public bodies to protect women-only spaces. It's understood the Women and Equalities Minister has given a statement to the High Court describing the proposed rules as trans-exclusive and has failed to sign them off more than 3 months after receiving them. That's despite the guidance being based off the Supreme Court's ruling on biological sex. And YouTuber Jake Paul takes on Olympic and former heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua in a few hours' time in a highly anticipated and widely criticised bout in Miami. Boxing promoter Frank Warren spoke to GB News before the fight.
Money, that's why they're doing it. From AJ's perspective, he's getting a massive purse to fight a guy who's had 12 fights, fought nobody of any of significance, of a young fighter. He's not, take out a 58-year-old Mike Tyson. And, Jake's stepping up to the plate. He's the one who's stepping up. He's had 12 fights, no amateur experience. He's got, as I say, no names on his resume. Two-time world champion, big puncher, natural heavyweight against a guy who's heaviest he's fought has been cruiserweight, which is a weight below Olympic gold medalist. This is a big, big ask of Jake Paul, but you've got to take your hat off to him for stepping up to the plate against what I would say for him is a massively live fighter.
And those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, it's over to Patrick.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
OK, welcome along to Late Edition. Now, let's whiz you through the first look at Saturday's newspaper front pages, starting with The Independent. So their main story is Ukraine gets €90 billion boost and blows up a Russian ship in the Med, which, could I just politely say, has now really angered Vladimir Putin. So, expect consequences. The picture story that they've gone with is children's author and comic David Walliams is dropped by publisher HarperCollins UK. We'll go into more detail on that. Moving on, The Telegraph. Walliams, quotes, harassed female staff. So that's on the front of the Daily Telegraph. So again, author dropped by HarperCollins. Woman handed 5-figure payout as others told to, quote, work in pairs around him. These are all allegations. By the way, I just saying, he denies all the allegations. He says that he was not aware that there was an investigation into him and he's not been given a chance to respond to it. It's a huge call, though, because he was a massive, massive money generator for HarperCollins. Not that I know that that should really matter if you think someone's accused of something, but sadly it does matter in the world that we live in. So yeah, we'll get you a bit more detail on that. The Daily Mail, Reeves ruins Christmas. That's a strong front page, isn't it? Reeves ruins Christmas. There you go. So they are talking about various different tax hikes. Shops suffering a disastrous December after £30 billion budget tax raid. They also, by the way, do carry the David Walliams story. Walliams dropped by a publisher for, quotes, harassing its young female staff. The Guardian, number 10, told fix youth jobs or risk a lost generation. There you are. And I think, have they got... Kylie gets her first Christmas #1. There you go. Oh, there you are. I've never heard it, so I don't know if it's any good.
Yes. Yeah. And if you want to hear it, it's on the Strictly Christmas Day special.
With Kylie?
Yeah, she's on it, yeah. It's
really?
pre-recorded. Don't want to break it to you that she doesn't turn up on Christmas Day.
No, you mean Kylie Minogue doesn't turn up on Christmas? Oh, right, sorry, yeah, being told that obviously we are also on air on Christmas Day, and, you know, you can watch us instead. Well, who would want to watch that rubbish? That's what I'd say. You know, who wants to watch that rubbish? And you know what? Won't be pre-recorded either, because we actually turn up. We turn up. Oh, by the way, at this point...
Isn't the carol service that you're all going to pre-record?
No, shut up, Christo, shut up.
You're all there.
Can I just say quickly that Emily and I are presenting breakfast on Christmas Eve, so we can see us there.
And do you have any special guests coming?
I hear you do.
Do we have special guests coming on?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, Benjamin and Christo are on.
Yes.
Yay, there we go.
Campus Christmas.
Linda's busy. Sorry, Linda. Right, let's move on with the papers. The Sun. James gets down on one knee. Right, so this is TV chef James Martin, who's got engaged. There you go. Good. Well done. The Mirror. Wills joins the SAS. This is, of course, Prince William, proud Prince of Wales, to be a patron of the elite unit's welfare charity. The Times. Russian oil tanker hit in the Mediterranean by a Ukrainian drone strike. The Daily Express. Robot surgery revolution to save the NHS millions. Well, you know what? Given all the doctor strikes we've got, I am bang in favour of robot NHS staff now. Seriously. The I Paper. Reeves. I can't rule out tax rises in 2026. OK, first things first, let's bring up the copy of the Daily Telegraph, if that's OK, and I'm going to read to you now the story about David Walliams. They say Walliams, quotes, harassed female staff. He's been dropped by HarperCollins over, quotes, inappropriate conduct. There's a woman who they claim was handed a 5-figure payout as others were told to work in pairs around him. Again, I will say at this point that David Walliams is pretty adamant that, firstly, he denies it. Secondly, he says he didn't know there was an investigation into him. And thirdly, he says he's not been given adequate time to respond. So that's his side of it. A spokesperson for HarperCollins told The Telegraph, after careful consideration and under the leadership of its new CEO, HarperCollins UK has decided not to publish any new titles by David Walliams. The author is aware of this decision. HarperCollins takes employee well-being extremely seriously and has processes in place for reporting and investigating concerns.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story. I mean, obviously, as you have said, he denies any of this impropriety, but there are some facts around this that the Telegraph has revealed, and that is that firstly they wouldn't be publishing this. This would have been legal through and through, and there is no way that they would have.
Well, you hope so. Otherwise, there is a massive legal bill on its way to David Walliams.
They've said that apparently employees had worked with Walliams were interviewed as part of this inquiry. This was after this junior member of staff raised concerns. They were told, as you said, to work in pairs. Were meeting him. They were advised not to visit his home. Then in 2023, and this would be on the record, presumably, a junior employee raised concerns. There was then an investigation by HarperCollins. Employees who had worked with Walliams were interviewed as part of that investigation, which also involved at least one in-house lawyer. That investigation concluded last year in 2024, and then the company took steps to ensure that Walliams and some members of staff would be kept apart. One junior who had raised concerns, woman, about the author's behaviour, left the organisation after concluding a settlement with HarperCollins. So some of those things, and that was a 5-figure payout, so some of those things would be on the record and facts regarding the investigation.
There's too much detail there to be dismissive of that.
Yes.
Point one. Point two is that you're quite right. They've got extremely good lawyers. Most newspapers, as you know, Patrick, have got extremely good lawyers. They'll go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. They've gone over this. I take it that this is the Telegraph's investigation.
Yeah.
Other people are following up. It's the Telegraph.
Yeah, the Telegraph did this, and then HarperCollins have acted as a result of the Telegraph,
yes,
from what I understand, at finding out, exposing this story. So I think we can presume, all things considered, that the investigations that took place were facts. David Walliams is saying, well, look, I had no idea of these investigations. This is something I deny implicitly. I didn't know that any of this was going on.
Can I just say as well, it's an interesting... I was just having a look at which reporting team the Daily Telegraph have done this investigation, and there are 6 female reporters, 6 female reporters who they've decided to put on this job, or however they've gone about getting that, which is, is possibly quite it's an interesting point to point out. Benjamin, look, your take on this again. Stressing David Walliams at this point is totally denying everything. Well, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, it's clearly alarming. We know that he was no longer on Britain's Got Talent as a judge.
There? Can you remember the bare bones?
So there was a leaked recording in which he used a very derogatory term about an audience member and made a vaguely inappropriate sexual comment in relation to them, and he was no longer a judge on Britain's Got Talent after that, which must be an extremely well-paid job. He was very angry about it. He sued them successfully for the leak of the recording. And so that is the background that we have to what's happened now.
Not the content of the recording,
the fact
that it was leaked.
Yeah. And now this report states that female staff members would only take meetings in pairs, that they were discouraged from being one-on-one with him. So that's what this report outlines. I mean, I think, nobody should be naive, and this isn't comment on David Walliams, for whom, it will become clear what the situation is in reporting, maybe. But nobody should be naive to the way that power can be abused. There are senior men in public life, in newspapers, in celebrity, who sexually abuse, who are sexually inappropriate, and they use lawyers and their money, and they pay young men to sign non-disclosure agreements so that nobody knows what's happening. These things do go on. We don't know what's happened with David Walliams, but we shouldn't be naive to the way power is abused in this day and age.
And women, I mean, the victims of Al Fayed at Harrods are still coming out of the woodwork now. There were 2 more this week, I think.
Well, quite. I mean, I just with my legal hat on. I know nobody was doing this, but for the sake of argument, I won't class David Walliams in the same bracket as Al Fayed or anyone like that. I know that's not what you were doing, but I just wanted to make that very clear.
And what will be interesting to see is the fallout from this. So it's reported here, and I knew about Would I Lie to You? So Would I Lie to You is the BBC panel show.
Yeah.
That's got him on an episode of that on Boxing Day, so it'll be interesting to see whether that airs. Also, apparently, tomorrow, 2 of David Walliams' books are set to air on CBBC as part of their Christmas schedule. I don't know what those books are supposed to be, so it'll be interesting to see whether...
Just to offer some context to HarperCollins' decision, he is one of the best-selling authors of all time. He's made more than £100 million just from book sales. And so, as a business decision, to not continue to publish that is a very significant one for its new chief executive to take. So clearly, there was some concern here in order to cut off that revenue stream.
But then concern that came once the Telegraph made it public. Wasn't concerned that came off their road.
I mean, they did an
investigation, and fair play to them for doing that, but they didn't publicly disassociate themselves with him
to be fair, I think
this investigation.
It appears the chronology is that there was a change of chief executive at the company, and the new person made the decision, and that's probably made it much easier for the Daily Telegraph to publish because they've got someone else's decision.
You think that was
that's how
the CEO made it? Yeah, OK, I get it.
Oh, we'll see. Well, look, I suppose we will find out more in the fullness of time. Again, I know people are going to tell me off saying this, but look, he does deny stuff. He says he didn't do this.
Sorry, and just to say, no one knows what goes on behind closed doors. No one knows whether it was, it was what perhaps someone who was a little bit older, what he would consider harmless banter that might have been taken completely the wrong way. That doesn't make it right. I'm just saying that we don't know what went on behind closed doors.
No, well, but again, we're going to have to find out more specific, because this is the thing, when you run stories like this, it's so... You almost have a duty to the person at the centre of this to publish exactly what the full allegations really are, because, the mind races, doesn't it? The mind boggles with it, and people can go right to the very, very worst stuff.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the truth is a lot less than that. Sometimes it's the polar opposite, it goes... So I think people do have a little bit of a duty to give a bit more clarity.
But you have rightly pointed out, though, that is a significant size for an investigative team in this day and age. When newspapers don't do many investigations, that's a big investigation.
Well, for the sake of context, I think, as well, it's important. 5 female reporters who appear to have worked on this and done a big investigation. So there you go. That's that. So we have got a lot more to get through, though, because the Daily Mail are going off on this, and so are the I Weekend, which is about Rachel Reeves, firstly, ruining Christmas. Cheers, Rachel. And the other bit is, I can't rule out tax rises for 2026. Again, not my words, the words of the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Can you rule out tax rises?
Well, Patrick Christys' Britain, mate, there'd be no tax rises. We'd all be dead in a week, but there'd be no tax rises.
There'd be no taxes at all.
No taxes at all. Trafalgar Square would only have probably cognac in it.
And a better tree. A better Christmas tree.
Better tree. And I tell you what, if those Norwegians don't give us a better tree, then we're going to come knock it.
We'd invade.
Yeah. Why not? Anyway, the Chancellor says that she can't rule out future tax increases. I will tell you exactly what she said about that whopping great big tax bill when we come back. So maybe pour yourself a stiff drink in the break, and I'll tell you exactly how Rachel Reeves is going to tax the living daylights out of you next year. There you go.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
Well, you're absolutely right. Spot on. I couldn't help feeling that perhaps it was actually just a joke, and they were going to come back in 2 years' time and say, we took you all in. It was, in fact, a joke. Now we're going to produce something more serious, because it's absolutely hilarious and ridiculous. Commercial suicide, I described it as.
Well, the individual behind it is no more. What would you like to see from the brand? Presumably not people with asymmetric haircuts in pink dresses with sledgehammers doing precisely zero to do with cars.
Well, again, absolutely. You're spot on. I mean, it's just totally unrelated to cars at all. There wasn't even a car in the advert. Jaguar was built on style, and that brought passion for cars. That's what made them different. I remember many years ago, a Jaguar executive in the States saying to me, people say, I like my Mercedes, but I love my Jaguar. It's all about passion. Style engendered that. That's what we've got to have. We need to see a proper, more traditional, stylish, real Jaguar that can build on the brand and the heritage of the past.
OK, Philip Paulson, I'm going to put you on the spot now. If you're in charge of the next Jaguar advert, what would it look like?
As diametrically opposite and different as it possibly could be from what they produced. I suppose, I mean, I live a little in the past, I admit, although I also think I'm hopefully realistic about the current situation and everything, the present. But I'd like to see the heritage shown. Jaguar were not afraid to talk in the past about their heritage, the Le Mans wins back in the 50s, the E-Type in the 60s. This is what added excitement and luster to the brand.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
All right, welcome back to Late Edition. Let's go straight in with the front of the Eye newspaper because the Eye Weekend have gone with Reeves, I can't rule out tax rises in 2026. And what she said is this, apparently. The Chancellor says she hopes that further changes to tax are less necessary. However, she warns about the future of global shocks. We're all vulnerable to global shocks. That's her thing, isn't it? The Chancellor says she cannot rule out future tax increases. The world is incredibly volatile at the moment. I increased our fiscal headroom so we're better able to withstand those sorts of shocks. Can I just say, it emerged earlier today, didn't it, that she'd raised £4 billion more in tax than expected in November, just before she did the budget.
And did you see as well? Sorry, I can't remember who the MP was, but they all were doing it actually when there was the interest rate cut, which was yesterday. All saying, "Oh, you know, it's so brilliant we have this interest rate cut. It really shows that the budget." Was you know, and it doesn't, because the interest rate cut was based on figures that had happened prior to the budget. So it was an outright lie.
And it was only just a decision. It wasn't a unanimous decision by the Monetary Policy Commission. It was I think the Governor of the Bank of England had to step in and give it his vote.
And
so it wasn't an easy decision to make.
Some of them were all sort of chanting, going, this is the fastest drop in interest rates for 17 years. 17 years, yeah, that would be 2008, the last time we had a big drop in interest rates during a financial crash in this country. So I wouldn't be championing, you know, the last 17 years or 2008 as your benchmark of when things are going well. So the point of all of this is that the economy is in the toilet. Why? Because people can't afford to pay the taxes that they are being hammered with. We have a chancellor, we're in a downward spiral. Our economic growth, well, our economy is contracting. Inflation is still too high. The debt is the highest that it's ever been in history. The tax burden is the highest that it's ever been in history. More insolvencies than we've had in years. Unemployment the highest than we've had since the pandemic. And she is moronic enough. Well, does she not understand that by saying this, what she is doing is once again making businesses who need to make decisions and people who need to plan their lives say, oh, right, OK, maybe I do have a little bit to spend on the high street, but I'm not going to because we might get more tax rises in a couple of months' time. Yeah. They have doom-mongered economically for months and months in the run-up to every single budget that they've done. Yeah. And so even if the budgets themselves weren't harmful, the narrative around them has been dreadful.
That is actually a really good point, Benjamin, isn't it? Because, well, one thing that unquestionably happened in the run-up to the last budget was it was such a long lead-in, and then there were all these leaks, and that meant that people were either not buying at the rate that they could, or they weren't going to put their house up for sale, or they weren't going to move it. It stopped people. They thought, I'm going to press pause here until I know what Rachel's doing. And then now she's doing it again, isn't she? I can't rule out tax rises in 2026. It's like, you know.
Well, I mean, I think one of the mistakes the government made was to come in with a line that is sort of like the austerity one of, you know, we have to be careful, we don't know if things can get better. And that set in motion the anxieties that lots of people had. I mean, look, you know, inflation is down, interest rates are down, consumer spending is actually quite positive, and so foreign direct investment is up, and so there are many indicators to say that things can get better. I think we have a tendency in this country to talk down our country so much, when actually the growth rate in the last year has been better than, you know, France and Germany and other G7 countries.
But can I say that I think that she is correct when she says she can't rule out future tax increases, because in the next 4 years, we are going to have to spend significantly more on defence spending. If you listen to the head of MI5 last week, the head of MI6... No, both of them.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they both spoke last week. Well, he may have spoken before Blaise Metrovelli, but there is no question that we were told by the head of the army that was last week that we have to have a wartime mindset. Now, that involves money. It involves a lot of money being spent. It's going to be very difficult and it will be painful. And, you know, I don't like saying that kind of thing because I've got 3 kids who are young adults. I want them to do well, but it's looking bleak.
Well, let's have a look at the Daily Mail's front page now, because there's 2 economic stories knocking about in tomorrow's or Saturday's newspaper front pages. They've gone Reeves ruins Christmas. Shoppers suffer disastrous December after £30 billion budget tax raid. Rachel Reeves was accused of ruining Christmas for retailers as her budget drives shoppers away from high streets. Apparently, I'm just trying to look to see where the actual figures on this are. After Black Friday sales at the end of November were surprisingly shunned, shops said that December has been disastrous, with the bleak outlook stretching into January. So,
I mean, I've never known so many stores be on sale so early.
That's right.
Sometimes there's a bit of a flutter around Black Friday. They have a couple of days where it's a sale, 20% off, and then
But they've all
it goes
started.
back.
Have you noticed they've all started?
Yeah, the sales have been since Black Friday or that week, or 2 weeks actually before Black Friday, and they have remained on sale throughout Christmas. So
not
if
in the
there
places
is any...
Emily likes to shop, flipping out, tell you that much.
Well, I mean, she's got to have some life at the end of the time we'll be married to you, dear. But I mean, you know, retail spending's got to be something the poor girl's got. So if there is any hope for the high street, I wonder what their bottom line is, because they usually, it's Christmas that does well, then January they clear out all the stock. They are clearing out stock now, so I can't imagine they're making a massive amount of money.
They're not shifting it.
Yeah.
I think it was a mistake. They did the budget at the latest possible dates that they could. Now, doing it at the end of November means that you are really playing into the psychology of people's Christmas spending sprees.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's quite plausible that will have had a negative impact.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, you know, maybe this cut in interest rates yesterday, which will be very real to people with mortgages, might see, you know, a flurry in the last couple of days before Christmas Day. If any of you want to buy me a gift to help the economy...
Yes, I'd buy you a ticket somewhere.
A plane ticket?
Yeah.
I've got plenty of those, don't
You
worry.
can go back to Somalia.
Yeah, absolutely.
South Sudan. I'm going to Somalia in May.
Not even they wanted him, Linda. But yeah, I think it's just so grim, and it's all this doom mongering. It really is.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying actually. I do know people that I was talking to a couple today actually, who say, you know, they're into the news, they're very intelligent people, you know, they've got quite high-powered jobs, and they just switch off. So they've switched off from news now because they find it so bleak.
It's depressing.
Yeah, it's so bleak.
I actually think people are... I've got a couple of male friends I've spoken to who are who are depressed. And I say to them, what's wrong? They say, oh, it's just like the country at the moment, the outlook.
Well, there we go. Well, let's have... I'm just trying to think about a way to line it up. Now, to be honest with you, I'm looking at the front pages and oof. But Kylie Minogue. Woo! Right, so I don't know if we've got any pictures in the bank for Kylie Minogue here, but she's on the front of The Guardian, and a crazy situation. Kylie gets her first Christmas #1. Now, because of various different copyright rules, we're not allowed to play you any of the Christmas #1. I haven't heard it.
Do you want a version?
No, you'll have to pay the PRS rights. Mind you, I suppose if you sing it, we won't.
Yeah, it would sound... No one would know what the song was.
There's a dance to go with it, which I believe you know.
It's the dance that's the
Christo.
thing, isn't it?
Christo knows it.
I think it's XMAS.
Nightmare for a dyslexic. Right. But so it's gone on Amazon Music. I think Amazon is only on Amazon Music for now, and I think they sort of fudge the numbers a bit because it forces it in front of every person that subscribes to that, and therefore celebrities sign up, which Sam Ryder did last year, which makes it easier to get the spot because it's giving so many players.
Does anyone, like, I have to say, I don't feel like Christmas #1 is the coveted thing it used to be.
They kept, that bloke who sung about sausage rolls kept winning it.
I know.
4 or 5 years in a row,
gone are the days of Spice Girls with their consecutive 3 years of #1s. 1996 with Two Become One, 1997 with Too Much, 1998 with Goodbye.
Even now, the second and third positions are still held by releases of many years ago.
Oh, really?
One is George Michael,
Yeah.
and I think the other one's Mariah Carey.
So-
and they still remain at 2 and 3.
Yeah,
so Wham has had, with Last Christmas, has had the last couple of #1s, but it never got to #1 until more than 20 years after its release. But there is good news that the Christmas #1 in the US today is Wham's Last Christmas, beating Mariah Carey for the first time. Now, how strange that there is a man, a lovely man, I've met him, called Andrew Ridgeley, the surviving member of the pair. I suspect most people wouldn't recognise him in the street, but he's currently at #1 in the US.
Now,
how
he must,
surreal is
he
that?
must make a significant amount of money off that every
he
single
does. He makes... George Michael helped me a lot when I was younger. And I used to work for him. I worked
just how?
No, I worked for him. I'm sort of... We have a family connection, and...
Greek. Yeah, there you go. The Greek mafia.
And, but he wrote Last Christmas. Andrew Ridgeley didn't write Last Christmas. Andrew Ridgeley didn't write any of it. So he gets the performing rights, but he doesn't get any of the...
George Michael signed over some of the rights to Andrew Ridgeley so that he would have money for life.
I didn't know that about Last Christmas, though.
I don't know if Last Christmas, but
one.
certainly some of them, because when Andrew Ridgeley released, I think, a memoir a couple of years ago and discussed how generous it was, because George Michael went on to be this hugely successful solo star. Andrew Ridgeley did not, but he handed over some of the rights that he'd always be financially secure.
As well, he used to take... people used to take the mickey. If anyone ever took the mickey out of Andrew Ridgeley in front of him when he was ultra successful, he took such a dim view of it. He did not find it funny, and he would call people out for it. He adored Andrew Ridgeley.
What was he like as a person? Sorry, sir.
Absolutely lovely. So I met him when I was... before I worked for him, I met him, and I was incredibly fat and in the closet, and his sister introduced us. And she took us to a concert that he was doing, and we went the day before to do the technical rehearsal. And I didn't know why she was so keen for me to meet him. And he sat down with me and was like, you know, you're living in a small town at the moment, and it's tough, but it's going to be all right. I can see something in you. And it was basically what he was saying to me was, you're a big old gay like I am, and I used to be fat and in the closet like you, but you're going to be fabulous one day. And that's what he was saying to me.
And he did used to be incredibly generous. I mean, I've heard stories about him meeting someone in a cafe. It was a woman in Highgate, I think, where he used to live, and she had really fallen on hard times, and he just wrote the cheque out and passed it over.
He gave away so much of his own money. In fact, he had a secret foundation which he had employees in my hometown, which were literally just distributing millions and millions of pounds of his money. And OK, he had some of those gestures when he rang this morning and did paid for IVF, but he actually, there was so much of his money he gave away that he had full-time employees giving away his money.
He was once watching Deal or No Deal, and the person got a tiny amount of money, and so he rang them and made the donation so that she could fund what she needed. And all these stories came out after his death, and the best charity is when people don't tell you about it.
I think he was incredibly classy.
Anyway,
the toilet incident.
He didn't get the #1, so Kylie Minogue.
No, well done, Kylie.
She does look fantastic, though.
She looks amazing.
How old is she now? She's 54.
She's 58, I think she.
58.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And she's had a #1 album in 5 consecutive decades.
Yeah, remarkable.
Well, there you go.
Do you think you'll be doing Patrick Christys tonight over the course of 5 decades?
I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so.
You and the mortgage lender hope so.
Yeah. But no, I'd love it. I think this is one of the things, I know I'm not just saying this, but there's a lot of people who say to me, because it's a natural thing to say to someone like, what do you see yourself doing? And it's like, this. I'd like to just keep doing this.
You're just going to die on air.
Well, I have a few times. Right, coming up, Ben Leo is back in London, and he's going to join me in this studio to speak about the Epstein files. And, well, that's good. I'm going to see Ben Leo. We're all going to see Ben Leo in just a few minutes' time.
Good evening. This is your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Now, for many, it is going to be a largely dry night to come, and with that, the potential for a bit of mist and fog to develop. And then, out in the west, there's a front that's pushing its way in, and that's set to bring some wet weather across western parts in particular as we go into tomorrow. Before that, though, as I mentioned, it is largely dry. Just a few showery outbreaks of rain across parts of Scotland and perhaps some western and southern counties of England and Wales, maybe a few pushing into parts of Northern Ireland too. Most places, though, having a dry night with clear skies, allowing temperatures to drop a bit chillier than some recent nights. Can't rule out a touch of frost and a few patches of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning as well. Starting off tomorrow then, it is going to be a brighter story than some recent days this week. A few spots of rain affecting Orkney, a little bit of rain across some southern parts of Scotland as well, but mostly bright, although there could be some cloud around across parts of Scotland and similar across Northern Ireland, just a few showers towards eastern coastal parts. More sunny skies for England and Wales. Like I mentioned though, there will be a few pockets of mist and fog here and there. Vale of York, for example, and other prone spots. Any mist and fog could take a little while to clear as we go through tomorrow, but it will eventually clear and lift away. And then apart from the odd shower here and there, for many it is going to be a fine day with some decent sunshine on offer. Just that front that I highlighted earlier on pushing into parts of the Republic of Ireland. Devon, Cornwall and South West Wales bring some wet and windy weather. Ahead of that, temperatures, well, they're a little bit above average for the time of year. Sunday looks set to be a cloudier day for many places. There will be a few outbreaks of rain here and there, nothing especially heavy for most places, just a bit grey, a bit damp at times, but worth noting could be some more persistent, perhaps heavy at times rain across parts of the southwest as we go through the afternoon. Into Christmas week, and it's set to turn drier, but also colder in time for the big day. Bye-bye.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back to Late Edition. Now, this is on the front of a couple of national newspaper front page, but we're also joined live in the studio by the wonderful Ben Leo, who's managed to get back from America in time for Christmas.
Howdy.
That's you. He's been picking up...
Hi.
So this is how you assimilate into a country, right? Because you've learned all the lingo, haven't you?
Yeah, so you cannot go into a coffee shop in America and say, please, can I have some water or a latte? No. You have to say, can I have some water, please? Or can I have a latte, please? Because they do not understand the R's. Water, latte, J.D. Vance. Yeah, so you have to... Literally, they look at you like you're foreign. You probably are foreign, I guess. But yeah, they just do not understand.
What's been your biggest takeaway from America?
Oh, my biggest takeaway. I got an Indian one night.
Nice.
It was a good... nice Chinese. The biggest takeaway is you can just do things and get things done. If you want to stop illegal migration, you can just stop them. You can say, you leave and you aren't coming in. You can patrol the border and you can do it.
How are sort of day-to-day functioning stuff?
Everything works. I mean, there's the odd shooting in DC, which, you know...
So the guns work as well?
Duck for some bullets here and there. But
do you hear shootings often?
There was one shooting...
Was the big one?
In the area Bev and I live, there was a shooting. I don't think it was fatal. It's youths mostly, it's juveniles, which is why President Trump and the administration, they've introduced in DC at certain points, as well as the National Guard, they have youth curfews. So all the youngsters and the youths, they're not allowed out past, say, 9 p.m, which is quite good, because when you come home from work... Because for me and Bev, the show finishes at 9 p.m. local time. So there's still a bit of a night to go. So it's nice when you come home, the National Guard are out, you see their guns and rifles, and you feel safe, especially for Bev as a woman. She loves it. She says she feels really safe.
And I heard the odd shooting in Lambeth, you know what I mean? It's like,
you don't have shooting. There's no shooting.
But also things, as I said, things just work. The metro is very, very clean, DC. The streets, we were shocked one night, we were walking to dinner, and they were painting the manhole covers. You had sort of council workers, government workers, painting the manhole covers pristine black, no expenses spared. Everything's clean. Everything works. The metro, public transport, it's great.
Well, there you go. Well, that's just interesting to know what it's like in a place.
I do miss Britain. I mean, I'm so happy to be back.
What do you miss about Britain?
What do I miss about Britain? In a weird way, I miss the weather. So when I came back yesterday, and it was just pouring down with rain, just torrential. And in DC, I mean, it's cold at this time of year, but the summers in August, there's mosquitoes everywhere. I absolutely despise those mosquitoes. Yeah, it sounds trivial, but they absolutely annihilate you.
I like the rain. It reminds me of Manchester. But anyway, right, so we did actually have you in originally to talk about the Epstein files, which have now been released, because they just do it all. Seriously, I'm sick of every other night, 300,000 more have been released. I haven't even seen all the ones that have been released today, because I've been in here for all evening, so I don't know. How bad is it? Do we know? Have we got any of these files anywhere?
Yeah, have we got any pictures? So there's two separate things that have been going on. So the DOJ, the Department for Justice, President Trump signed off the release of the Epstein files, and the deadline was today, December the 19th.
Right.
So they had to come out. And in the meantime, you had the Democrats and the Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. Gets a bit technical and boring, but anyway, that's separate. So the guys in Congress, the House Oversight Committee, they've been releasing their own little pictures here and there. The stuff they've been releasing isn't that interesting. It's kind of like Andrew hanging out with people, Bill Gates. It's like, well, so what? It doesn't really tell us anything. We knew that they were frequented with Jeffrey Epstein. The pictures and files today, 300,000 different files. To be honest, bit of a nothing burger, to use an American phrase, because so much of it is redacted. It's just blocks of black, just covering text and images. However, there are pictures of Mick Jagger hanging out with Epstein, one Michael Jackson. Surprise or no surprise, I don't know. I've got my own thoughts about Michael. There's some of Prince Andrew with laying on Prince Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor, laying on the legs of some women who have had their images redacted, and Bill Clinton. Probably the best picture. Bill Clinton laying back with his top off in a hot tub with a woman next to him who's been redacted. And I believe the DOJ, when they released these files, they said anybody who's redacted in these pictures is potentially involved in the suggestion that they may have been a victim. There's Ghislaine Maxwell and Bill in the hot tub. Anyone who has their image redacted is potentially a victim.
So there's very little chance.
But of course,
that's Hillary then.
Yeah, well, it could be. I mean, there's Bill Clinton again with a young lady on his lap.
He just always permanently looks like he's about 9 scotches deep.
That's right.
He does, permanently. Like, even when you know he's sober, right?
He's got that sort of face,
he's got
hasn't
that
he?
look, hasn't he? Where it's like, hey, yeah, I've been drinking since 9 a.m. That's the look of a man. Yeah, isn't it? But
who's that? Is that Bill Gates?
That's
Bill Gates.
And who's that with him?
Well,
I mean, she doesn't look like an appropriate person.
Well, no.
It's important to say, of course, I've got a mortgage to pay, that everybody involved pictured here denies any wrongdoing. Doesn't necessarily mean that anybody pictured was up to no good, because the fact of the matter is Jeffrey Epstein was a well-connected man with lots of money who did get involved in a lot of business deals and philanthropy as well on the side.
Yeah, and you can't. You don't think there's anything. Yeah, and no one would think there was anything going on here. But it's I don't know. There's no smoking gun, is there?
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? Because, look, again, I get that a lot's redacted, don't get me wrong. But, like, supposedly now, this is it? These are the Epstein files. The Epstein files are out there now, are they?
That's it. That's the full trove.
Right.
But they are 90%, no exaggeration, redacted.
Oh, really? Right.
So it's kind of pointless.
Fair enough.
But at least from a political point of view, it's off Trump's back now. For a long time, since January he took power, they were reluctant to release these files. Make your own.
I do think there are questions about whether it's entirely the right thing to release them, because while the mystery and the intentional hiding of some of this stuff is a problem, actually when people come forward, whether they're legal people, victims, witnesses, to give testimony on serious accusations, the suggestion that actually politics could change in its wind and it could all be put in the public domain in future might discourage people in the public. There's a reason why stuff isn't usually just sent out for everyone to see.
All right, well, on that note, what are you actually going to be talking about between midnight and 2 a.m. in the morning?
Bill Clinton's hairy chest in a hot tub. That sounds pretty good. President Trump has just launched an attack on ISIS in Syria, a pretty devastating attack. He is taking no prisoners again. I just like, do you know what? People call me a Trump sycophant. I do not care. Being there, they just do things and they protect their country, they put their country first. And they say, to hell with Lord Hermer, international law, and let's go and consult you, and let's do a case review here, let's do a focus group here. They're just like, no, we're just doing this.
I like that one when he killed the former ISIS leader, and he came out...
like a dog.
He died like a dog. He died like a dog.
And they did the comparison with Trump and Obama. Obama's 1741 today, the United States Air Force just terminated ISIS, and Trump's like, he died like a dog.
He died like a dog, running like a coward. There you go. Anyway, on that note, well, it's going to be a great show, always is, Ben, but it's good to have you back here, actually, mate, as well, I must say. So, look, when we come back, we're only going to have a few minutes' time, but we've got some more front pages to go through, and J.K. Rowling has actually stuck the boot into this Labour government. Find out what she said next.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries, all sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're contemplating a trip overseas at the moment, it is dry at first this weekend for many places, but low pressure will develop and it will bring increasingly heavy rain to many by the end of the weekend. We do have some rain to talk about. Parts of the south of Greece, southern Italy seeing that rain at first. Drier for the rest of Italy, dry for much of Iberia, but in between weather systems, a front pushing some rain into Portugal later. And then a developing area of low pressure will turn things increasingly wet across Italy and Greece.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as
and now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Well, this is on the front of several of Saturday's newspaper front pages. We'll just bring up the Independent, and it's Ukraine gets €90 billion boost and blows up Russian ship in the Med. So, brilliant. So, basically, the EU has said, here's €90 billion. They've immediately then blown up a Russian oil ship in the Mediterranean, and then Putin now is really not happy and vowed to clap back. So... yeah, I mean, what do we make of this, really?
I think we should blow up Russian ships.
They're a big problem.
You know, they don't give a damn about truth or honesty or the lives of Russian young men, let alone the Ukrainians they're murdering. And, you know, we should take these Russian assets, we should take the money, and we should spend their own money on stopping them.
Can I just say, apparently the Salisbury poisoning spy chief is among the dead on this ship.
Well, I thought
it gets about, doesn't it?
I thought they were just looking at the
looking at the clock tower, looking at the cathedral, beautiful Salisbury Cathedral tower. But he also likes ships, apparently. So yeah, there you go. Apparently, he's died in this blast. But yeah, so this is a loan. It's €90 billion in loans to Ukraine. So
we're going to end up picking up the slack, the EU and the UK, when Trump just pulls the plug.
Yeah, which he will.
Because the peace plan that he's proposed, I do believe that there's going to have to be some sort of concession to Russia in order for this to end, without a doubt. But the peace plan that he's proposed is I don't think, palatable to Ukraine at all. You know, Ukraine's military will have to be limited. They will never be able to join NATO. Now, I do believe that the expansion of NATO has contributed to this. That doesn't excuse Russia. That doesn't make Putin
but it is a factor.
Other than a monster. But this could have been predicted for the last 30 years. However, I don't think that putting those conditions on a sovereign nation like that is going to be acceptable to that nation. So we're going to end up picking up the bill.
Yeah, and you see, this is going to go on for so long because basically Putin has never shifted his position on all of this. And he's always been absolutely clear about what he's going to do. Did you hear the 4-hour press conference today? I mean, he reiterated it many times.
What were you doing?
I think it's interesting.
I really thought that Trump would make more progress with him. I thought that laying it all on and trying to charm him, I thought that might work.
I tell you, there's two things. Yeah. There's two people where I think that Putin will not be able to budge. One is President Xi, and the other one is Putin. They just ignore him.
I think,
they just ignore him.
I think in Russia-Ukraine, President Xi is the one that has the power, because one of the reasons the Russian economy hasn't collapsed is because China has invested more. The new bloc, India, is working closely with Russia with its oil supplies, and so it's able to stand up. And I think that is the reality, that what we're seeing is a realignment of the global power.
It's not going to be a G7. It's going to be, I think it's 4 or 5 main powers, and they would be Russia, China, Japan, strangely, is one of them, India and China.
And
that's it. They're not interested in the rest.
All the money as well in the Middle East as well. That's the other. That's the other part. So while we're all fannying around with pronouns and net zero,
it's ridiculous. I've been saying that for months.
They're
totally
all, like, consolidating power, money, and everything else, and we're all, you know, complaining
dealing with
about
pronouns,
cars and pronouns.
I think that's
like that.
a distraction. But the fact is,
what have I just said? Is there anything I've just said that isn't true?
I think we're both capable of standing up for our own minorities and standing up to bigots. The reason we stand up to countries like Russia is because we have better, more dignified values than the ones that they try to export, which is
there was a funny moment
that
David Cameron was taking part in a documentary about Putin. It was on, I think it was on the BBC a couple of years ago. And David Cameron said he had this, in his words here, some gotcha moment with Putin, where he sat him down and then Putin said something to him about how, you know, Britain wasn't great. And he said, yes, well, we have gay marriage. And I was thinking, like, I don't think don't think that's said in quite the way you thought it would with Vladimir.
Vladimir Putin's favourite singer is Elton John.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't tell him. No. Don't tell him. Anyway,
when will he find out?
We're going to have to wrap. Thank you very much, my wonderful panel. I've really enjoyed tonight. Ben Leo's up next. And he's not stateside. He's right here.
Back in Great Britain for the Late Show Live in London for tonight. The Epstein files have just been released. 300,000 files. The likes of Bill Clinton, Mick Jagger, all pictured. What does it mean? What have we learned? We're getting stuck into that very shortly. Also, President Trump and the US have just launched massive strikes on on ISIS in Syria. Back in a tick.
It's the greatest cash prize of the Great British Giveaway so far. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, making 2026 your greatest year to date. That could get you that brand new car, extend and improve your home, take you away on that bucket list holiday, or just give you some peace of mind over the coming months. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Hello and a very good morning to you on The Late Show Live tonight. Breaking just now, Michael Jackson, Mick Jagger, Bill Clinton, well, they're all in the latest Epstein files which have just been released to the world. We'll be showing you the bombshell pictures in just a sec. Also tonight.
So we are annoyed, we are angry at what happened last year, and it just shows the total and utter disdain this country has for liberty, democracy, freedom in this country and everything that we have held dear. I have to say personally, I increasingly hold the individuals that run this government with absolute and total contempt.
Nigel Farage speaking there, but is he right? Because a number of councils are set to cancel their elections in May, and it's not just Labour getting in on the act, it's now the Conservatives too, despite them saying they must go ahead. So what's going on there? The Uni Party strikes again. In other news, after the Bondi Beach shooting, Australia is introducing a gun buyback plan. Will it work? We're going to debate that shortly. And also tonight, America strikes Syria. In the last few minutes, the US military have launched airstrikes against dozens of Islamic State terrorists and sites in retaliation for attacks on US troops. But it's not war, according to the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. He says it's not war. We'll be updating you on that situation throughout the night. I'm Ben Leo. This is The Late Show Live, and our night's just getting started. Oh, and it looks like the American right are at war.
Politics is not the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Politics is about principle, and if you are willing to sacrifice basic truth and simple principle in favor of emotional solidarity, you have betrayed your fundamental duty to the American people.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for your company. Ben Leo on The Late Show Live. In London, I'm back in Blighty, and what a great story we've got to start, because breaking tonight, a fresh release of the Epstein files have just dropped. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, the disgraced former businessman, paedophile, who killed himself. He had many acquaintances, many people he worked with, many people who travelled on his plane and visited his island. Finally, tonight, the Trump administration has released the files. The Department of Justice have set 300,000 PDF files, pictures, documents out into the world for the world to see. The only caveat is that 90% of it, and that's no exaggeration, is redacted. However, there are some very interesting pictures there, including the likes of Bill Clinton, who's pictured many times, with a young woman there, if you're watching on television. The DOJ, by the way, just as a bit of context, they've said that anybody who is redacted or their identity is protected in this cache of files is potentially a victim. So just bear that in mind. And of course, it is important to say that just because people are pictured, it doesn't mean they are guilty of anything. Guilty by association isn't a thing, of course. And if there is any